Here's a case for Evelyn Mercer, as you seen before. Now I have to make a mock-up with the composite to prepare for the temporary fabrication. What I'm going to do is use the composite, a little bit of a touch-up on the surface of the stone to create the arch, and I'm going to apply the composite over at the top to prepare for temporary, and then we're going to have a suck down, which is a stent, clear stent, to make the temporary. So I'd like to design the case first by looking at the picture and the model. Where I see it, patient has number 8 bonding on the medial because the propeller to the lower midline was a little canted. It was a little shifting towards the patient's right, so we want to bring it back to a little bit, and also have a size discrepancy between number 8 is wider and the number 9 is a little narrower, so we want to correct that. So I'm going to use the disc to separate between 8 and 9 to have equal size. And also it has a crowded situation, like number 10 is for behind here on it, so we want to bring it out to have it even looking. And this side is a little wider, so make this cuspid to coming over a little bit, or vice versa. We're going to try to compensate the width between left side and the right side. Now adjusting the model is easy with the disc. Just go right through between two central. Again, this is just a mock-up and it's nothing to do with the clinically involved. So we just separate nicely and even with the disc. So now we know where the midline is going to be with the lower counter model. It's pretty much lined up, and measure up number 8. Now we're going to have a little bit of facial reduction. It doesn't have to be accurately removed like we do prepping. It's just the preliminary area that we need to do. Number 9 medially was a stick out, so I just brought them in a little bit so we have an idea where we going to. Height of contour on number 10 also a little bit too bulky, so we want to push them in a little bit. And then number 11 also stick out a little too much. We're going to remove a little bit. Number 6 also labially bulky, so we just bring them in. Alright, make it just simple. I don't want to go through too much of a detail. So just remove the created arch to make it even surface from the occlusal view. And now I'm going to apply the composite to mock up the design. This is a critical area that laboratory is involved, because we as a laboratory know what is outcome, and you can see in a patient's mouth, but you have to translate that into the model. That's what I do. This is just the indirect composite. The model and liquid on, so easy to handle. You cut the composites out, starting with the most important area of your central. Place them on. We'll make it a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, a little bit wider, and slightly over the gum also for temporary purpose. This is not just the visual aid to the patient. This is also for making temporary stents. That's why we're using composite, so we can do a stent over it. So now I'm down to 1. I'm going to put more of the composite on top of the number 8 to complete the composite mock-up. Simply, as you all know, do it indirect. We put them on nicely smooth, heat it up a little bit.
CK will place the indirect composite on all teeth involved.
Making a little bit wider and bigger, it gives you a chance to adjust in the patient's mouth after the temporary is in the patient's mouth. If you're making too small or too accurate, you wind up adding more because the patient could say that it's too small or it's too short. Then it's hassle. So better off making it slightly bigger, slightly longer, so you have a room to adjust as we need it as it goes by. So we add a little bit more on the mesial. We'll be done. Simple. Line angle is critical. Midline is very important. As you can see, they follow the pencil line that you put them on the very beginning to try to keep that composure, and do 1 tooth at a time so you don't lose the size and the width between 2 centrals and the laterals and so on. If you look at it from the lingual point of view, you can see where the contact is. So your wax up don't have to go over too much. That means you are way too much whitened. So this is your reference point where the tooth was there before. That's what we wanted to do. Look at the way the cuspid. We have to make a little bit more adjust. Wrapping around. Try not to go over the other side of the tooth. So that way your sizing is approximately in the boundary that we want it to be. Oops, the gingival area is up a little.
Next, CK will cure the composite.
And simply it's hard. So this is a final product like it, or even bigger than the way we want to be, but this is the way we make this one for temporary. You don't have to really touch on the surface, but if you see any rough surface that you want to be smoother, you can use the carbide or diamond to just go over smooth, make the surface a little bit smoother, so your temporary will come out nice and easy and smooth also. I'm using the straight handpiece. We should have a low speed. It's easier to handle. Maybe you are accustomed to use the high speed. It's okay to use that also, as long as make the surface just smoother. It will do the job. Now you look at it from the lingual, you can see that it's thick, but in the patient's mouth, reducing the thickness on the lingual or labial is much easier than adding to cover those areas. So this is the way we want it to look, and this is what we're looking for. And I can put you back onto a counter model to see. So you shouldn't spend more than 10 minutes or so to do this. If you spend an hour doing this, is obviously you're wasting too much time. So we want to have concentrated on the sizing of what we wanted to achieve. So it's from here to here, as you can see. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, but it's in an arc of what we wanted to achieve them. Basically this way we can do it in a chair side and make it temporary, make it very, very easy and quick.